Reading today is from Exodus chapter 20. You may have heard these before. God spoke all these words. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an idol, whether in the form of anything that is in heaven above, or that is on the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing children for the iniquity of parents to the third and the fourth generation of those who reject me, but showing steadfast love to the thousandth generation, those who keep me, or those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not make wrongful use of the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not acquit anyone who misuses his name. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. You shall not do any work, you, your son or your daughter, or your male or female slave, your livestock, or even the alien resident in your towns. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, but rested the seventh day. Therefore, the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and consecrated it. Honor your father and mother, so that your days may be long in the land that the Lord is giving you. You shall not kill. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. And you shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife or male or female slave or ox or donkey or anything that belongs to your neighbor. The Ten Commandments. You knew them. We all know them. We learn them in confirmation. I had to relearn them at seminary. Had to memorize them in a class, Old Testament class. And memorize the books of the Bible for an Old Testament class. And I was grateful for, at seminary, I was grateful for the times of confirmation. I never thought I would ever say that when I was in confirmation. Boy, I'm sure glad I'm in here. But when I was at seminary, it all came back to me, when I was a kid. The Ten Commandments. What we notice, first of all, in these Ten Commandments is the promise of God comes before the command. If you remember the history of the Ten Commandments, when were they given to the people? Before they left Egypt or after God got them out of there? After. And so he states the obvious here. I'm the Lord your God. I'm the one who brought you out of Egypt, from the house of slavery to the land of promise. Therefore, you don't need to have any other gods. There is no other gods. So don't do it. I'm already your God. That's a promise. I am the Lord who's your God. I'm not the Lord a God. I am your God. I'm your personal God. I am yours. God promises to be our God. And we are his people. God is not saying to them, I will be your God if you obey, keep all these, I'll be your God. I'm already your God, and these are for your benefit. They're not for me, they're for you. As the fourth command says, honor your father and mother. Why? So that you can live a long time. It's to our benefit that we have these laws. They're for our life. They're for our longevity. And they are rooted, they're grounded, they're centered on the relationship that God has with us. And it goes all the way back to the beginning, where God spoke the words, I He spoke them. In the Bible, when God speaks, we learn this in our Old Testament. We're studying Genesis in our Bible study now on Wednesdays. And there's quite a few chapters in Genesis, so it's taken us a while, but we're getting through it. And in the first chapter of Genesis, when God speaks a word, things happen. God said, "Let there be light," and there was. And it was so. God saw the light and it was good, right? Okay, we know the creation story. If you forgot, there it is on the windows right over there. Those 3 windows. Creation story, right there. Water, sun, moon, plants, birds, animals, fish. People. Garden of Eden, God's hand coming down. Brilliant. Keith Malmquist designed that. Brilliant. He got it. He understood it. That is the foundation of that same hand coming down to humanity and making us in His image. Remember, God formed us, the dirt. We got His fingerprints all over us. That same commitment is in His commandments. Now, when I was a kid, I didn't like anybody telling me what to do. Does any of you feel the same way? I don't think that ever changes. I went off, my daughter, and I would say to my daughter, Sarah, I don't know if you should, don't do that. She goes, "Don't tell me what to do." And we were visiting her down in Miami. And I said something like, I don't know what I said. How come you're not wearing a jacket? Don't tell me what to do, Dad. She still said it. I had my jacket shirt. You know those jack shirts? I call them jack shirts. And my wife says, "I'm not going to take a picture of us in Miami with you wearing that thing." And I go, "It's freezing out here. It was cold that day. We're on the ocean, the wind." I'm like, "It's cold out." She goes, "I don't care. Take that jacket off and smile like you're enjoying it." I go, "I am enjoying it. I'm just cold." Well, anyway, I thought my daughter should be wearing a jacket too. She says, "Don't tell me what to do." Well, we all know that. And when we think about these commands, we think, well, why does God tell us to? God's trying to take away all our fun. It's actually quite the opposite. Because I'm your God, because I got you out of slavery to Pharaoh, the last thing I want you to do is to become enslaved again. And when we forget about God's commands for us, who do we become enslaved to? Ourselves. Ourselves and our angers, our appetites, our frustrations, our hostilities, our prejudice, all of that stuff controls us. And God said, "You don't need other gods out there trying to tell you what to do. I'm the only one you need because I got you out of Egypt. I got you out of slavery. Don't let even yourself rule you." We don't know how to do it. We don't have the experience. We're not old enough. Oh, that's another thing my kids hated hearing me say. You're not old enough. Ooh, I'm a teenager. Exactly. Well, you've had those arguments too. And maybe some of you are fortunate to have grandchildren that are teenagers, but I've heard that's much funner now when you're grandparents. It's really fun. So I'm looking forward to those days. But again, God gives us these commands for our benefit. Not to take away fun from us, but so that we really have a life to live when we're focused at the center of our lives to the one that gives us life, to the one that gives us all that we have, created all there is, and gives us permission to be and gives us an opportunity, actually, and the ability to be in communion with Him. That's what these laws are there for our benefit. They remind us that we are creatures. We don't possess life, we are given life. And when we forget that, we have a short life, unfortunately. We can also see in these commands that the first 3 talk about God. I'm the Lord your God. You don't worship any other gods. Don't make an idol. Remember the Sabbath day. Don't misuse my name. Those first relate to God. But then, what do the rest relate to? Everyone else. Everyone else. Well, who's the next closest thing to God, right? On earth, it's your mom and dad. Well, they're there for a reason. They're there to raise you. They're there to help you. And that's what it's all about. And what about everyone else around you, your neighbor, right? God cares enough about us so much that He wants your neighbor to thrive as well. And He wants your neighbor to be protected from you, from me and you as well. God loves all of us together, so He wants us to protect the neighbor. These laws are for the good of the other. Honor your parents. Look, they're going to raise you. I don't know what it was, but somebody did a survey. What does it cost to raise a child from birth to 21 or something like that? Several $100,000, one young kid said, "Boy, if that's not a birth control story, I don't know what is. How much it's going to cost me? Thousands of dollars, with food and clothes and trips to the high school musicals and the concerts and the football games and the hockey tournaments. But it's worth it. Well, God treats us the same way. We're worth it. We are worth it. And there's a horizontal dimension between God and us, just like that window has that hand coming down. There's a vertical up and down, and there's a horizontal dimension. Does that look like anything vaguely familiar to you? There's a horizontal dimension, or a vertical dimension, and there's a horizontal dimension. Where have I seen that before? I know I've seen it in here before, but there's one right over there. I can see it from here. But there's also one, right there. And right there. And right there. It's everywhere. You see, that's what the commandments are about. God cares enough to remind us, I got you out of that jam. I'm going to get you out of the jam. The worst thing is to get enslaved again to yourself. Who wants to be ruled by that master? You see people running around all over the place, doing whatever they want. They are not free by any stretch of the imagination. But the relationships are for our journey together. It's always in the context of a God who speaks His promise first. I'm Lord your God. These are for your benefit. And the greatest benefit, of course, is the one who hung upon the cross, who took on the vertical dimension, who came down from heaven, who gave His life as a ransom for all in the horizontal. This is my body given for you, for all people, for the forgiveness of sin. Thanks be to God. Let's stand and sing another hymn. And 95 is a good one. It's a good Lenten one, but it